Today our topic is the Stoic Guide to Overcoming Anxiety. Life is full of challenges, and anxiety is one of the most common struggles people face. It can feel overwhelming, like a heavy weight on your chest, making it hard to breathe or think clearly. But the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers timeless wisdom to help us deal with these feelings. Stoicism teaches us how to focus on what we can control, accept what we cannot, and find peace in the present moment. It is not about ignoring our emotions, but about understanding them and learning how to respond in a way that strengthens us rather than weakens us. Let's explore how Stoic principles can help us overcome anxiety and live a more fulfilling life. First, let's talk about control. One of the core ideas in Stoicism is the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control, and some things are not." This simple idea is incredibly powerful. When we feel anxious, it's often because we're trying to control things that are outside our power. For example, we might worry about what other people think of us, or we might stress about the future, which is uncertain and unpredictable. But the truth is, we cannot control other people's thoughts or actions, and we cannot control the future. The only thing we truly have control over is our own mind, our thoughts, and our actions. When we focus on what we can control, we take back our power. Instead of wasting energy on things we cannot change, we can direct our efforts toward what we can influence. This shift in focus can greatly reduce anxiety because it helps us let go of unnecessary worries and focus on what really matters. Next, let's talk about acceptance. Anxiety often comes from resisting reality. We want things to be different than they are, and this resistance creates tension and stress. The Stoics teach us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. This doesn't mean we should give up or stop trying to improve our lives. It means we should start from a place of acceptance, recognizing that life is imperfect and unpredictable. When we accept reality, we stop fighting against it, and this can bring a sense of calm. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a job interview, you might wish you didn't have to go through it. But the reality is that the interview is happening, and no amount of worrying will change that. Instead of resisting it, you can accept it and focus on preparing as best as you can. Acceptance doesn't mean you like the situation. It just means you stop struggling against it. This can free up mental energy and help you approach challenges with a clearer mind. Another important Stoic principle is mindfulness, or living in the present moment. Anxiety often comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We might replay past mistakes in our minds, thinking, "What if I had done things differently?" Or we might imagine worst-case scenarios for the future, thinking, "What if something bad happens?" But the past is gone, and the future is not here yet. The only moment we truly have is the present. The Stoics encourage us to focus on the here and now, because this is where life happens. When we bring our attention to the present moment, we can see things more clearly and respond to them more effectively. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a big presentation, instead of worrying about what might go wrong, you can focus on the task at hand. You can take a deep breath, remind yourself of your preparation, and give your full attention to the moment. This can help you feel more grounded and less overwhelmed. Stoicism also teaches us to reframe our thoughts. Anxiety often comes from negative thinking patterns. We might catastrophize, imagining the worst possible outcome, or we might personalize, blaming ourselves for things that aren't our fault. The Stoics encourage us to challenge these thoughts and see them for what they are. Just thoughts, not facts. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a mistake you made at work, you might think, "I'm such a failure." But is that really true? Everyone makes mistakes, and one mistake doesn't define who you are. The Stoics would encourage you to reframe this thought. Instead of saying, "I'm a failure," you could say, "I made a mistake, and I can learn from it." This shift in perspective can help you see the situation more objectively and reduce feelings of anxiety. Another Stoic tool for overcoming anxiety is gratitude. When we're anxious, it's easy to focus on what's wrong or what's missing in our lives. But the Stoics remind us to appreciate what we have. Gratitude helps us shift our focus from what we lack to what we already possess. It reminds us that even in difficult times, there are things to be thankful for. For example, if you're feeling anxious about your health, you can take a moment to appreciate your body and the things it allows you to do. If you're feeling stressed about work, you can be grateful for having a job and the opportunity to contribute. Gratitude doesn't make problems disappear, but it can help us see them in a broader context. It reminds us that life is a mix of good and bad, and that even in hard times, there is still beauty and goodness to be found. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of taking action. Anxiety can paralyze us, making us feel stuck and helpless. But the Stoics teach us that action is the antidote to anxiety. When we take small, purposeful steps toward our goals, we regain a sense of control and confidence. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a big project, instead of procrastinating, you can break it down into smaller tasks and start working on them one by one. Each small step you take will bring you closer to your goal and help you feel more capable. Action not only moves us forward, but also shifts our mindset from fear to empowerment. Finally, the Stoics remind us of the impermanence of life. Everything changes, and nothing lasts forever. This might sound depressing, but it can actually be a source of comfort. When we're feeling anxious, it's often because we're attached to a specific outcome or afraid of losing something. But the Stoics teach us to let go of attachment and embrace the transient nature of life. This doesn't mean we shouldn't care about anything. It means we should appreciate what we have while we have it, without clinging too tightly. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a relationship, you can remind yourself that all relationships have ups and downs, and that change is a natural part of life. This can help you approach the situation with more openness and less fear. In conclusion, Stoicism offers a practical and powerful framework for overcoming anxiety. By focusing on what we can control, accepting reality, living in the present, reframing our thoughts, practicing gratitude, taking action, and embracing impermanence, we can reduce anxiety and live more peacefully. Anxiety is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. With Stoic wisdom, we can learn to navigate life's challenges with courage, clarity, and calm. Remember, you have the power to shape your thoughts and actions, and this power is the key to overcoming anxiety and living a fulfilling life.